Our election counters are expected to resume counting votes in Pennsylvania. The Republican primary, for a critical U.S. Senate seat, is still too close to call. And as of Wednesday evening, election officials had about 28,000 mail-in ballots to go. Right now, former TV personality Dr. Mehmet Oz leads former hedge fund manager David McCormick by just 1,200 votes. Former President Trump backing Dr. Oz, urging him to declare victory in the final. If the final tally ends up being within half of 1 percentage point, an automatic recount will be triggered. That won't be hard to do, considering how tight this race is. Let's bring in Democratic strategist Brad Howard joining us. If we do get a recount, which we likely will, it could stretch into early June. Does this feel like deja vu for some voters?
It might, but I think the important thing to remember is that the results we get in election night are unofficial. The official election results have always come in weeks later. And the more important thing here is not to get it done fast, but to get it done accurately. I mean, the bedrock of our democracy is that every vote counts and that every valid vote should be counted. Election officials across the country take pride in taking the time to ensure an accurate election, and that's what's most important here.
Obviously, voters would agree with you. Integrity is key across the board. Pennsylvania law doesn't allow processing of mail-in ballots before Election Day. Do you think that should change?
I'll leave that up to the electors in Pennsylvania to decide, the elected officials there. I used to work for a member of Congress from Florida. Those ballots are counted as they are received. And in Florida, you get the results pretty quickly election night. Florida's had vote by mail for decades because we have a lot of homebound seniors in the state. And so, it would speed up the amount of time that we would get the results. But I'll let Pennsylvania voters and their elected officials decide how to do elections in their state.
Yeah, you actually served as chief of staff to U.S. Congresswoman Stephanie Murphy, a Democrat of Florida. And you also were really instrumental in working with House Democrats and moderates specifically. Correct. So let's bring up Connor Lamb, heavily favored to win the Democratic Senate race and had slews of endorsements. One Pittsburgh-based Democratic strategist says strategically it's been mind-boggling to watch this. They completely blew an opportunity. Connor should be the nominee, and it's the campaign's fault. Why is that? And why didn't the congressman perform better, do you think?
Well, look, I think he had a very strong opponent. Lieutenant Governor Fetterman, who ultimately got the nomination, is a Pennsylvanian through and through. He's got a cult following in the state. He campaigned on a lot of bedroom issues. He has a very distinct personality. I don't think there's any politician in the country like Lieutenant Governor Fetterman. I think he's going to be a formidable opponent in the general election. And, I think primaries are usually because most people share the same positions on issues in a primary, whether you're D or R. It becomes about personalities a lot of times, or personal attacks. And in this situation, Fetterman just has a very strong personality, a very strong presence. He's great on the campaign trail. He relates to a lot of these voters who otherwise felt left out of elections, the same type of voters that Trump won over in 2016 that gave him the Keystone State. And so, I think Fetterman just did extraordinarily well on the trail, and I think he's going to be the next senator from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it is interesting. I've interviewed him here live on our show. He is remarkable and 6'9". He's tatted up. He's very vocal, straight, direct to the point. Interesting, though, as there has been more moderate movement in the Democratic Party, what do you think the future of the party is, especially in light of the fact that President Biden's approval ratings are so low, Vice President Kamala Harris's approval ratings are dismal, and the fact that this country is in such a dire inflationary economy?
Yeah, no, I think the problem right now is that there's a lot of anxiety in the electorate. Right? You're seeing empty store shelves, you're seeing high gas prices, and those are places we visit on a regular basis as families and as Americans. And so you are constantly reminded about the status of the economy right now. And so that's creating a lot of anxiety. And Democrats do control the House and White House. So it is natural for voters to want to assign blame to their anxiety, and they want people to act to make sure they feel better. And Democrats are trying to put forth a lot of policies. I give a lot of credit to the White House for what they're doing on the formula crisis. Those actions hopefully will help get more formula on the shelves. But at the end of the day, Democrats are trying to focus on policies, and we need to continue focusing on policies that affect the everyday life of families. We cannot get distracted by the woke politics of the left that are trying to distract us. I think the Democrats in Congress have a plan. We're trying to put it in place. We're trying to get it passed. The problem is we've got a lot of obstruction in the Senate from Republicans because we need 60 votes to pass anything in the Senate, and we only have 50 Democrats. And so the concern, I think, in November, Democrats are actively working to try to help families. Republicans seem to be stuck in the mud here with these divisive politics of President Trump claiming election fraud when it doesn't exist. Attacking our democracy, trying to sweep January 6th under the rug. That's a very big problem. If Republicans get control of Congress, we could see constant gridlock, nothing get done, and you'd have a situation where we're relitigating all of these dangerous philosophies of the past that President Trump pursued when he was in office for 4 years. So I think if we can refocus our attention on the economy, try to do what we're doing with baby formula crisis, really focus on these they seem simple issues, but they are critical to families and they impact our daily lives. If Democrats continue to laser focus on that, I think we can turn the tide and have a really great election night.
Everybody's looking for solutions. Brad Howard, thank you so much for being with us this morning on Morning in America.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Coming up, an update to a story you'll only see. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.